Alright guys, so we're going to be in the process of removing the throttle body from the vehicle. I got a little ahead of myself and started pulling parts off, but I'm not too far. I took off the 110mm clamp, yanked this guy right off of the throttle body, off the intake tube off throttle body, set it on down there. Also, clearly I did remove the battery. That was actually first step, is remove the battery. Battery's out, intake tube comes off, and then there is a bracket that is actually integrates in with two of the throttle body, two of the four throttle body bolts, bracket that goes from the throttle body, kind of like intake bracket, over to the actual engine, and it does bolt on right down here with a, it's also a little wire tie down, but we got two 12mm nuts with washers on the throttle body side, and then one on the actual cam position sensor side. So then this guy comes right off. So far I've disconnected two sensors. I've disconnected the idle air control valve sensor, which is one big plug. Just push in on the clip, release it, and then I've taken one eyelet connector off, or not eyelet, but one spade connector off of the idle switch. And then lastly, like I said, I was jumping the gun, I was just getting her done. I took the throttle cable off just by twisting the throttle down and then pulling it off to the side and releasing it from its little hole there. So that's where we're at right now. There is two coolant lines coming off of the water neck here. We got one that goes in right here, and we have a second one right here. It goes right down there onto a crossover tube. So this throttle body does have coolant flowing through it. So we're actually going to be installing a block-off plate that is a fast idle air control valve block-off plate. Now it's still going to basically have airflow, so this is still all functional with this, but it's essentially blocking off the coolant flow to it, and essentially it is going to stop the computer, the ECM, from trying to fluctuate the fast idle air control valve for cold starts, and it's basically going to make that RPM hold steady for us. Maybe a little bit harder to start on a cold start, but it's going to get rid of that idle surge that we have going on that I showed initially in the video on the first cold startup. It kind of, it revs up, revs down, and kind of bounces back and forth there. Once it comes up to operating temp, it holds right at that 750, 800 RPM mark, right where you want it. So we're gonna come over to the desk. This is the kit that I bought off of stmtune.com out of Rochester, New York. Like I said, here is that block off plate, and it still does keep two of the air passages for that, but it does have or it is going to be blocking off the coolant passages for the coolant into the throttle body. But like I said, that fast idle air control valve is still going to be making a reading in it. Comes with a gasket. So we're going to be installing this kit. All together with shipping, it was like $77. So that is what we are going to be installing into the 91 Eagle Talon base model. Like I said, this is an NA model. This issue does happen with the turbo models as well. The 90 throttle bodies are completely different than the 91 to 94 style engines, so just keep that in mind, especially when you're shopping on the website. There is a difference in price there, and some of these components may be in different spots. Alright guys, so now that I got you caught up to speed, the next step in this process is removing the coolant lines, the two coolant hoses coming off of the throttle body. It is the second to last step to actually getting that thing off. We are going to have two clamps here and here. I'm just gonna go on the other side here with a set of pliers, get those two coolant lines off. We are gonna lose some coolant, so I have a catch can underneath the vehicle, and then after that, it should just be the two 12 mil. These are going to be actual bolts rather than the studs. Two 12 mil bolts. We got one there and one down here. Take those out, and we're going to remove our throttle body assembly. One thing I did forget to mention is the throttle position sensor is right here on the side of the throttle body, guys. We are going to just disconnect that. So right here, there is going to be usually a square clip, wire clip actually fitted into the clip here. Usually just got to pull it back, that way it does release. There's no push or anything on this, it's just that clip. But we're gonna go ahead, get those two hoses off, and then take the other two 12 mil bolts out, and then we should be able to get that throttle body off there. Just gonna set that guy kind of upright if we can, twist it around there, get it out of our way. Like I said, we are gonna lose some fluids here, guys, so we'll have to bleed the system again ideally. Just keep that in mind. That's one hose off. Let's get the other one. And number two is off, guys. All right, we're gonna let that kind of drip down. Like I said, I do have a catch can underneath there. And yeah, let's get these last two bolts out. Do not forget the lock washer on them, guys. All right. Let's see how stuck it wants to be. All right, guys, so we got the initial separation on here, so this should just slide right off now. It was stuck on a lot harder than I thought. Of course, you don't want to, this is aluminum, you don't really want to smack it with just like a normal hammer, but I did give it some taps right here and right about here, or excuse me, on this little plate there, and you can actually see the gasket here kind of just like release on itself. So this guy should just come on out. What are we hitting? Oh, they're hitting a fuel line right here. Let's see, we're gonna be able to go right around that now. All right. So we do have the throttle body now off of the vehicle. I am going to pull that pan back out and drain this guy fully, and we will show you guys the, well, me, I will show you guys the teardown process of this and getting that plate over there installed on this. Alright, guys, with the throttle body off of the vehicle, we're going to want to head and clean up the actual gasket material, because it will most likely tear. This is a paper gasket. So since it is paper, you're not going to want to use a whiz wheel or abrasive disc or anything. Just go ahead and get you a razor blade and go under it like that, and just clean up the actual surface of it. So I'm not going to bore you guys with it. I just wanted to make that very clear with this paper gasket, that you're not hitting it with an abrasive disc or a wheel. You're just going to want to go ahead and get a razor blade in here and just get all of that off. Make sure it is nice and clean. Do that on the throttle body side as well as the intake side, guys. And this is the new throttle body gasket. We are going to be installing it 60879. We're going to take these Phillips head screws out, as you can kind of see here. We'll kind of match up with these, so you got an idea of what we're actually going to be doing here. We're just going to be separating the part with the coolant passages and the fast idle air control valve sensor. We're going to be separating that right on that line there, installing the plate and reassembling it. Like I said, I do have a gasket for it. Alright guys, so a little bit of a cut here. As you can see, there is the plate and gasket installed in between the throttle body itself and the idle air control valve slash, the coolant passages for it and everything. These 5 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they are extremely tight, especially if it has never been apart before. So recommended, so you don't strip them, is an impact screwdriver and JIS, that's Japanese industry standard, bits. That way you have the most minimal chance of actually stripping those. As you can tell, a couple of them, those ones are fine, but a couple of them started to actually strip here in the home garage. So I did end up taking this to work with me, where I have 95% of my tools, not just my little at-home tool chest that I usually can get most things done with. But I did take it to work, used my impact screwdriver. All I had to do was actually just hold it up against my chest, other arm holding the screwdriver and hammering down, and got those busted free. Once those 5 screws are out, there is 4 of them are basically the exact same, and then one of them, this guy right here on the lower left, this guy is the short one, so it's pretty easy to tell where it goes in comparison to all the other ones. It's the only different guy. And then the top right, if I'm holding it like this, so bottom left is a short one, and the top right does just have this little wire holding tie on it. But yeah, once you get those 5 screws out, you can just essentially, you kind of just got to wiggle it back and forth, especially if it's never been apart before. That gasket is going to be holding it really tight. And yeah, just separate that thing, clean up your gasket surface best you can. Install the new gasket that comes with the kit from STM. Put your sandwich plate on and screw it all back together. Actually, one thing I forgot to mention is when you take this apart, especially if it's never been apart before, there was, if I can find it, oh, it's over here on the back of the truck. There was one screw in this little, probably like little tension spring attached in the center of this, right when you tear them apart. So you do have to take that off because this plate will not sit down flush with that screw in there. So we took that screw out, took that little tension spring out, and yeah, just install everything back. Get these as tight as you can. Like I said, the JIS, the Japanese industry standard, Phillips heads work the best and won't round them on you. So yeah, let's get this put back in. not forget. Don't forget your crush washers on the studs. But let's get this plate also put back. So we'll get all that tightened up, and I'll be right back with you. Alrighty guys, back to like the start of the video. Got the throttle body with that plate all installed. I waited till the next morning. It is like a cool 45 degrees out, so let's see. Let's see how she does. Oh, must have the four-ways on. Let's see how she wants to react on a cool day. She cold. Very cold. So one of the downfalls though is a harder cold start, but we are having 0 idle surge right now. Mind that noise. The exhaust is kind of disconnected in the center there and kind of just sitting there, so that's the rattle you guys are hearing. But she's running pretty smooth. Definitely has to warm up, get some throttle response. But 0. Absolutely 0 idle surge. It still idles a little bit high until that temp does come up, and then it should settle right where it needs to be. Exhaust leak in the back by the resonator, as well as this is the main one right at that center section. Don't have my light on me, else I'd show y'all, but that's besides the point. It's not a part of this video. We got smooth idle. You do have to give it some gas, but that is what the block off plate solves, guys. That idle surge for you. So I really hope this does help anybody going through that issue. Like I said, just install one of those plates, and like I said, that idle will come down once the vehicle actually does come up to operating temp. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you.